Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Artur. Happy,
Morning.
it's another Monday.
Oh yeah, exciting to be here.
It feels so different these days between every other day of the week. Um, so we're really super excited today because we have a guest, Toni Julian, who's with us from, is it Gilroy?
San Jose.
San Jose,
Mhm.
California. I was a little bit further
Right.
south. And we'll give an intro to Toni in a second, but this is really big for Artur and me because we've been mainly focused on lawyers and law students and a bit more sort of technical, but Toni's here to really share some great life experience and a different perspective on ways to cope and even thrive during this tough time. So um, Toni, I don't know that I'll do such a good job of introducing you. So maybe tell us all a little bit about who you are and maybe even how you and I connected, because that's interesting too.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Thank you so much. I am really like delighted to be here with you too. And I appreciate you expanding what we're doing because it's just so relevant right now. My background is that I am a nutrition coach, a sports nutrition coach, certified personal trainer. I've done figure competitions, so I know all about like how to transform your body. I'm a mom of four, and let's see what else. I've written a couple of books. One is called Bite Me, Change Your Life One Bite at a Time. It's about making sustainable lifestyle choices and mostly centered around nutrition. And the other is Smart, Fit, and Female. So it's how to be those things, and it really relates to everybody. And then I also have a healthy lifestyle company where we make hot protein meals and meal bars that are grab and go for people who are wanting that nutrition and don't want to compromise. So I'm very busy. I have a blog. It's called Toni Talks Humanity Matters. I'm trying to think what else I do. I do a lot. I love doing a lot for the community. And I met you, Ron, through our friend Richard, who has been like this great just support system for me. He just started helping me out of the goodness of his heart several years ago. And it was at a time when I was taking care of my father, who was terminal, and
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't really have as much time to dedicate to the business. I did what was necessary and still moved it along. But it's just a really tough time to um, really step things up. So he passed a couple of years ago, and Richard's hung in there with me all this time. So he's been just great.
Yeah. So I was introduced to Richard actually only a little bit over a year ago through his work with entrepreneurs in the life sciences, particularly Canadians that are starting up companies in the life sciences in the Bay Area. And he's just been a great person, as you say, but extremely just open to meeting and helping people. And so in particular, if there's anybody who's watching this, who is looking to start up a company, I mean, especially right now, life sciences is so intertwined with all the efforts to come up with a cure, to contain COVID-19, everything related to that. If you've got an idea, I don't know that Richard's going to be the one giving you millions of dollars, but he certainly is somebody that you should know. So I'll put his name in the comments so you can connect with him. Um, but you've got such an interesting story, and one of the things that one of the reasons that I think it would be great to talk about sort of your story is even before what you're currently doing, to talk about how you've gone through career changes in your life, because I imagine right now there are people who, some of us, things, at least for the moment, are going pretty well, pretty stable. Nothing's really changed. I mean, we were able to adapt. I mean, Artur and I used to sit next to each other. Now we just have videos together every day. But I'm sure there are people that maybe this is a moment where they're thinking, well, maybe it's time to change. Tell us maybe a little bit about something you did before your current version of yourself,
Right.
and how did you decide to make a change?
Wow, that's such a great question. I've owned, I think, six businesses now, and whenever I've made a change, it was out of either uh, a financial situation that had changed, or it was out of just my spirit or my heart telling me, "Look, you need to do something different because you're not happy." I would just get to the point where I was just just felt like I needed to change. And I think for anybody, the people who are going to survive this are the ones that can adopt. They're the ones, if they can pivot, right? If they are open-minded and can find new ways of doing things, and not just, this is the way I've done this forever, this is what I'm going to continue to do. I think life is going to change so drastically. And in this next year, I don't know that things will like go back to normal. You know,
Mhm.
I think it's going to take some time, and I don't have a crystal ball, but every time I've made a change, it was sometimes gradual and sometimes abrupt. And so it depends on the situation that you're in. And the like one time, I'll just give you an example. I was newly married. I had well, 5 years into it, I had a little uh, 1 year old baby, and I was working for a company that went belly up. It was a small company, and they just had to close their doors. And I continued to work with them for several weeks just for free, just to help get this gentleman through this. But it didn't work out. And I found that I was home with a husband who was out of work with the 1 year old baby. And I didn't have any money in the bank
Mhm.
for the mortgage payment for the next month. And that was pretty scary. So I thought, well, what can I do? What am I good at? I'm good at organizing. So I just placed a call into a company. Actually, this woman that I knew who was doing some freelance work, and I took over a series of event planning and seminars and coordination for her for this. It was for AdaptTech. So she was a freelancer for AdaptTech. She ended up giving me all this work, and I ended up literally a year later with contracts for $100,000 for all of their events, all their trade shows. And I went in and we just, so I built a business out of doing this, where this was early 90s. I think I became in the top 5% of all female entrepreneurs in the United States financially, through this business that was in the heart of Silicon Valley. And I just picked up all these corporations and ran with it. So even though things may look dire sometimes, the rug gets pulled out from under you, things could really change and look up too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always this, growing up, my dad used to always, repeat the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I resisted that for so long. But I mean, just in the time we've been speaking already, it keeps coming up as a common theme in both of our lives. Uh, Arturo, you're maybe 1 or 2 years younger than us. uh, how have you experienced that in your life, in terms of, how have connections helped you more than just, randomly applying for a job, let's say?
Yeah, I think they've been crucial actually, because I think the best experiences that I've had in my life were through connections or through uh, exposing myself to different people. So yeah, I mean, I guess if I hadn't tried to network as much as possible since the very beginning of my professional career, I think I would be in a very different place right
Yeah, yeah. I actually was telling your story to another group that I'm connected with last week, about how, there's another group that I spend a lot of time with, that focuses on people graduating law school. And I mentioned the fact that, so Artur, when I first met him, uh, it was literally because I needed somebody to work on a case who spoke Portuguese. And when I initially hired you, it was just for that one case on a contract. And then within a few weeks, an opportunity came up, and now, the rest is history, as they say. But I think you've got to be willing to take some chances, I think, and follow your passion. I think the three of us, I left a bigger firm about a year and a half ago to start my own law firm, and really it was based on just this passion for delivering top legal service using technology. And it was a leap of faith. I mean, who I didn't, initially there was no money coming in, but I just followed my passion, and it's still growing, but I love what I do. And I think I would encourage people who maybe are in that position where they're forced to look at other options to really get in touch with your passions, because now is not the time to be uber focused on the paycheck. Worry about that a little bit later, but find something that you're just going to love. So Toni, I mean, you took that chance and it worked out for you, but yet that's not what you're doing now.
Right. It's far from it. I find that every 10 or 12 years or so, I reinvent myself and I do something totally different. But I think the amazing part of it is that when a person looks forward in their career, they they are doing these different things, and it doesn't always look like it relates. But then now in my business now, I've looked at every other business that I've had, every other career, and it has built that foundation for what I do now.
Mhm.
Right. So I never would have thought, at this point in my life, I would be doing, helping people with their nutrition and personal training, or even doing a figure competition. That was simply because I was sick, and I did that to just, it was kind of like icing. Okay, how can I challenge myself, and how can I make myself uncomfortable and put myself outside of a comfort zone so that I can grow. Right. So I think it does feel risky sometimes to make a change, but just like you're saying, if you follow your passion, I think the money does come later. And I think there's so many riches beyond the paycheck, right? Otherwise we'd all be working for other people, bigger companies. And I just think it's great to work for yourself. It's not glamorous though. If people think that it's glamorous, that's not really quite accurate.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
yeah, yeah. I so I have to ask. So believe it or not, for about a year or so, I got into CrossFit. This was a few years back. It was incredibly hard. I got injured all the time. I mean, were you always doing CrossFit, or how recent of a life change is that for you?
Let's see. So, yeah, CrossFit, it does injure people. It's very high impact, and
Hmm.
it's hard on the joints. And so I never actually did CrossFit. I did more resistance training, weight training. I hike, I bike, I do a lot of other things. But I did, when I said competitions, I was referring to like figure competitions, bodybuilding. And
Okay.
I was 48 when I started, and that was 12 years ago. And I
Wow.
did two of them that were natural, definitely no steroids, nothing like that. And because I am healthy, I did it in a really healthy way. And I think I went from uh, 30 pounds body fat, 30% body fat, down to 20% body fat in 8 weeks.
Wow.
So if you know anything about that, like a 2% change is significant for somebody in that time frame. I did 10%. So I just really got dialed in with how to do that. But I did it in a very safe way. I didn't do anything crazy, and it was really to be healthy and just to challenge myself. And going out on stage was crazy. My legs were shaking. Like I was, talk about, you're in this little Swarovski crystal bikini and stilettos. And that is, if you know anything about me, that is so not, not me at all. It was scary.
Is now a good time to start something like that when you're stuck at home?
I think I have that's good. I have differing opinions about that. So I just did a live call yesterday, and really what I'm sharing with people is that while we are in place, I call us sippers. We're we're sheltering in place. Um, I think that sometimes that might be too much for somebody. I think maintaining our health is the most important right now. And sometimes adding extra challenges may be too much for a person, especially if we have to be inside more, our routine has changed, there's not as much structure, we're maybe not eating the same way that we normally do, we're maybe not able to get the same types of groceries that we normally get. We may have kids at home now where we didn't before. It's so much change at once. but I think for those people who would welcome that, absolutely. And, not just maintain, but make progress. I know I got out, I'm fairly active, but I started hiking 4 miles a day, just every day. I'm like, wow, I just feel so much stronger. So, I mean, I see a difference in myself. And it's raining now, but for those that can get out, can get out. But I don't know, what about you, Ron? Like, would you be up for a challenge, or do you think you have enough on your plate now, just maintaining your health, avoiding
Um,
getting sick?
yeah, I think maybe maybe I shouldn't have asked that question because I had a bad feeling it was going to come back to me. Uh, so I'm one of the few people in Los Angeles that I walk to the office, and so this has actually been really detrimental to my health because I'm not really leaving the house hardly at all. My husband actually has asthma, so I'm really careful when I do go out to make sure that I am not exposed because I don't want to bring it back home. So um, I've been thinking that I need to try to figure out something like a home routine where at least I'm doing some stretches or something small. And I feel like there probably are a lot of people who, like me, I mean, maybe maybe I just want to feel like there's more people like me who need probably just a simple 15-minute routine to go through so that you're not just going straight from, especially I find working at home, it's hard to it's hard to define a start and an end time to the day the same way as it is when you go into an office. And so I find that, it's from when I wake up until when I go to sleep, I'm working. And so that there's a need, I think, to have some discipline around some sort of exercise routine, no matter how small. So I don't know, I'd be open to you helping me with that.
Oh, well, I have something for you right now.
Okay.
So,
I'm not
not
going
that
to
you
have
need
to
to do it right now.
I'm not gonna have to demonstrate on camera, am I?
Get your mat out, Ron and Artur. Yeah. So one thing that I feel strongly about is that when people are in their offices a lot and they're sitting a lot and can't do the things that they normally do, is it creates a lot of lower back problems. And I think 85% of the population has lower back issues already. And I certainly do. I have no disc between S1 and L5. It is
Oh my
completely
gosh.
gone. So it's from car accidents, not driving, but not responsible for them, but and happy to be here. But I designed, as a personal trainer, I designed an exercise, what I call the rotisserie, because you're basically on a mat, but you're working all the different muscles of your core. And I did a video right about a month ago, right before we had orders to shelter in place. And it's just a great workout. You do 3 different sets of it, and talk about getting your whole body strong. It's really great. So I can share that with you. I can give you a link, and it's on. I think it's on YouTube. It's on my website. But it's something everybody can do, no matter where you are. And then just another thing you could do, like I just did a challenge on my page. It's 10 squats, 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 push-ups. Like, do that 3 times. Just something simple, just to get your blood going, get oxygen through your body. You're actually, when your body is oxygenated and you're not just sitting, then you have a much lower risk of cancers and things, because those nutrients are getting to all the places in your body that they wouldn't ordinarily, oxygen and nutrients.
Wow.
So just moving is great, no matter what it is. I mean, just move, right?
Who knew that this little series that Artur and I started 2 weeks ago was going to be such a helpful tool for people, and definitely we'll share those links. I'm curious, before we wrap things up, Artur, what are you doing? I mean, you're younger. You have a lot of time to catch up and get in shape, but are you doing anything during this time where you're stuck at
Yeah,
home?
yeah. Fortunately, we have a big backyard, so we're trying to do some working out there. I'm trying to take walks and bike every once in a while as well. So yeah, I mean, trying to at least do something once a day just to keep the body active. But I'll be glad to check your workout, Tony.
Oh, that's great. And you know, if you don't use your muscle in 4 days, it starts to go away. So it's good to
Oh yeah.
Wow.
keep that going.
So there's definitely, so this has been amazing. We could go on, and I wish we could. One thing for sure is I'll put your website link in the post when I post the video. One thing that you haven't spoken about, though, that I think really could be inspirational and helpful to a lot of people is your Facebook group. So tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that as we wrap this up.
Sure, absolutely. Yes. So back in December, I decided to start a group called Group Hug. And I just felt it was important to be able to support people, that people go through things all the time and you never know what someone is going through. You know, a lot of people just don't share, you just aren't in touch with people that much. So I started it as a way to keep people healthy and bring joy to people's lives. And so it's called Toni Julian's Group Hug, and you do need a Facebook account, and it's not a bad idea to join for those of you that are hesitant because it's just a great community, and we really need that right now. The one thing that keeps us sane and mentally balanced is community, and that's the one thing that is harming us right now is being face to face with people live. So anyway, I would invite anybody to join us on that. It's I post videos, my podcasts, exercises, recipes, just and there's just a lot of lovely people on there. So anybody is more than welcome to join us.
That's amazing. So lots of good resources here. I'll put information when I post the video again. Toni, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with us. So helpful. I'm hoping that people who normally watch us about H-1B visas are getting something different out of today's post. So thank you again. Hopefully we can maybe do a regroup in maybe a few weeks or so and see how we're all doing again.
I would love that. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honored, and I wish you both good health and take really good care of yourselves.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much, Sunny. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
Talk soon. Bye bye.